Okay, just 1 minute. I want to welcome two new devotees. They're not new devotees, who just came. Daya Radhika and Govinda Rupini, who just came. They're from a first world country. Not like Australia. Yeah. Got it? Got it. All righty. That. Okay, one more thing. Let's go.
Sounds like the noise is coming from up there.
It is coming from there.
Oh yeah, well, I think
Yeah, the sound is
the
coming from
amplified noise is coming from up there. The original.
Where's the bass?
I didn't change the strings.
Oh, you didn't change the strings yet. Tomorrow you have more opportunity to do that. You're not doing person now.
Okay, good.
We definitely need a bass guitar here. Okay. If someone could turn down the volume of the channel, wait, not both channels, just the channel that has this
Yeah.
in it. You see that?
Yeah, I like it.
Turn it down.
Yeah.
How about that? A little more. Okay. A little more. Okay. Probably good. Well, it's a little loud. That's good. That's too loud. Wait, you turned down the whole thing. You turned on the wrong one. Because you turned me down now too. All right, I'm all right. Okay. Hare Krishna. No, you got to turn me up a little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. And then you got to turn me down. Hare Krishna. Okay. We're not going to chant the Hanuman song. It's not appropriate. Nitai pada kamala Koti chandra suchitala Ye chaya jagajura. The song now. Nitai pada kamala Koti chandra suchitala Ye Jaya Jagachurai. Since nobody knows, we'll just continue chanting Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. His Divine Grace, Abhaya Chalana, the Bhaktivedanta, Goswami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Anandakoti Vaishnava Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Hridas Thakur Ki Jai. Prem Se Kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shidwaita Gadadha Shivasati Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radhakrishna Gopi Gopinath Shyama Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Mathurdam Ki Jai Jagannath Swami Ki Jai Vrindavan Ki Jai Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Samveda Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premananda Hari Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai, Nama Om Vishnu Padaya, Krishna Pristaya Bhutale, Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Chinamani, Namaste Saraswati Devi, Gauravani Pacharani, Nivashesha Shunyavadi, Paschat Shateshatani. Someone take the guitar and put it in a safe place. Kana.
Yes.
Here we go. All right. So where do we start? Okay. So I thought we'd read a little tonight from Prabhupada's Nectar of Devotion. Now it's hot in here. How did it get hot all of a sudden? As it playing the guitar. Should we open the door or what? Or is everyone cold?
Warm gradient.
Is it hot in there?
Yeah.
Open the door. Yeah, I don't want to inconvenience everybody. So we're going to Tivilanda Shagananjana Shlakaya Chakshur Meditam Yena Tasmai Shigurveda Maha. We have a famous singer here. And she's descended from another famous singer, the famous Gauramani. Sometimes Gauramani lets me see her, you know. Anyway, she's a very good devotee, Mari Radhe. And actually we have another singer here, Govinda Rupini. She's a South Indian singer. She does all these, what's it called, the style you sing it? Karnataka.
Wow.
Yeah, she's a Karnataka, a famous Karnataka singer. So we got two good singers here. I mean, the rest of you are okay too. So we're going to read from Nectar of Devotion, such a wonderful book, and then so we'll read a little bit and comment a little bit about this. We're going to read from chapter 16, which talks about the varieties of love for Krishna. And hearing from, of course, Rupa Goswami in the Bhakti Rasa Amrita Sindhu, through the lips of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, things become more nectarian. Just like Shukadeva Goswami is described by the Acharyas, that Shukadeva Goswami touches the Krishna Katha like a parrot touches a fruit and makes it sweeter. So Prabhupada makes everything even sweeter than the sweetest. So we very much appreciate hearing. Even when Prabhupada is talking about basic philosophy, like this morning we were listening to a class by Srila Prabhupada. It's a wonderful class. So enlivening, it changes the whole atmosphere of the place. Even though we're in Govardhan and the atmosphere is spiritual, by hearing from Prabhupada, the atmosphere becomes more spiritual. Okay. Thank you, Your Divine Grace. Where's Kishori?
She has a way back from
Oh. It's interesting when I said Your Divine Grace, her name came up too. So So, varieties of love for Krishna. In the attitude of the denizens of Vrindavan, for those who don't know what you know what a denizen is?
No, I'm not sure.
That's good. I have to translate some of these words. Denizen means the people who live there, the residents. It's actually an old English word that's really poetic, actually. Such as Nanda Maharaj and Mother Yashoda is to be found the ideal transcendental concept of being the father and mother of Krishna, the original personality of Godhead. Factually, no one can become the father or mother of Krishna, but a devotee's possession of such transcendental feelings is called love of Krishna in parental relationships. So, actually, this is the topic that Prabhupada was talking about this morning in class. If you remember when we were listening to class. Anyone remember? No. Because a lot of you weren't there. So, Prabhupada was talking about how, in one sense, God, you could say God doesn't have any name. That appears to be an impersonalist thing. But in another sense, God does have many names, unlimited names, but the names are in relationship with his devotees and his pastimes. They're all active names, not passive names. Like a passive name would be, well, actually a secondary name, God. And there's primary names and secondary names. You know what the difference is? What's primary name?
Primary name would be a normal name, secondary name would be like your nickname name?
Be close. The primary name is like a name of Krishna that's personal,
Oh,
not his position. Like if I were to say about you, you're a student, that's a secondary name.
oh, right.
But if I say that you're Kanada and tell the parents' name and everything like that, that's a primary name.
Oh, okay. So it's like your classification.
Yes. So if we say that God, that's a secondary name, and Krishna is a primary name.
Right, okay.
And Krishna is the best name. So anyway, getting back to the point, so the devotees are the repositories of love for Krishna. And therefore, technically in Nectar and the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, they're called the Ashraya. That means the shelter of love, or those who have love. And the reason that we have to approach devotees rather than Krishna for pure devotional service is because devotees are the Ashraya, not Krishna, in this particular context. So, therefore, as we mentioned in the last previous classes, that if we want pure devotional service, bhakti, we have to get it from a devotee. We can't get it from Krishna. If you go to Krishna and say, please give me bhakti, Krishna will say, well, sorry, don't have it. And if we go to Prabhupada and we say, please give me bhakti, then Prabhupada has bhakti. So therefore we approach the devotee. However, Krishna also becomes the Ashraya of bhakti sometimes, but in relationship with his devotees. And then the devotee becomes the Vishaya. It's interesting. This is described by the Goswamis. That Krishna, he has a reciprocal relationship with his devotees, so even more than the devotees love Krishna, Krishna loves devotees. Just like Krishna is in everyone's heart, right?
Yeah.
We understand that. And Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, that because the devotees love me so much and have me in their heart of hearts, like Premanjana Chirita Bhakti Vilochanena, Satakshadaiva Hridiyeshu Vilokyantu. Then Krishna says, I have the devotees in my heart. Just like Hanuman, he ripped open his chest, and who was there? Sita. No, Sita and Ram. If you just had Sita there, he would not be a devotee. He'd be Ravan. Right? Ravan had Sita in his heart. And that means, actually he didn't have Sita, he had Durga. He thought it was Sita. But Hanuman had Ram and Sita, or Sita and Ram, in his heart. And if you would open up Ram's heart, you would have Hanuman there. That's amazing, isn't it? For Krishna's heart, then you have Srila Prabhupada, and of course Radharani. I don't want to forget that. But all this pure devotees would be there in Krishna's heart. And Krishna says in the Bhagavatam, because they do not know anyone else other than them as me, anyone else other than Krishna as theirs. In other words, a devotee just thinks Krishna is mine. Krishna is always thinking, I do not know anyone else other than my devotees as mine, as Krishna's. So Krishna feels very possessive of the devotees. Such a nice reciprocal relationship. So that means, just like a parent feels possessive of the child, just like Kana, his parents feel very possessive. He's mine. And if I say something nice about Kana, then Navadweep's eyes open up. What a nice guru! Isn't it? I mean, it's really a sense there. It's really nice to see that. And so, Prabhupada also said that in a relationship, if you love someone's dog, the person will love you. And every politician knows if you want to win votes, you kiss babies. No, not anymore. You say, what a nice baby that is. Even if the baby is as ugly as sin. And the parents say, oh, that is nice. Nice sannyasi, we'll vote for him. So anyway, the point I'm making is it's really reciprocal. Like Krishna, of course, is chanting Radharani's name. There's an inscription by the Acharyas, isn't it? Krishna chants Radharani's name. And Radharani is chanting Krishna's name. But the difference is that Krishna never gets angry with Radharani. And Radharani has the ID card to get angry with Krishna. But Krishna doesn't have the ID card to get angry with Radharani. So, I'll continue here. I mean, there's so much here. Prabhupada was very strong about this, he said Krishna has no name. Actually, he said, because actually the impersonalists, they say that God has no name. He's nameless. But Prabhupada unpacked that statement and made it a personalist statement. He says the Vrishnis, Krishna's relatives at Dwarka, also felt like that. So in other words, they felt this parental affection. So spontaneous love of Krishna in the parental relationship is found both amongst the denizens, there's the denizen guy, people of Dwarka, who belong to the dynasty of Vrishni, as well as amongst the inhabitants of Vrindavan. Spontaneous love of Krishna as exhibited by the Vrishnis and the denizens of Vrindavan is eternally existing in them. And another point we had from class this morning was that it's Siddha Krishna Prem. Prabhupada made it very strong in class this morning that that love for Krishna is eternally existing in our hearts too. It's not something that's artificially imposed on a person, but it's awakened by the process of bhakti. In the stage of devotional service, where the regulative principles are followed, there's no necessity of discussing this love. Okay, I'm not going to discuss it. For it must develop we can discuss it philosophically. For it must develop of itself. Here's another statement, of itself. Now just unpacking that statement. It's there in the heart. It's our eternal nature, and it develops of itself at a more advanced stage. Of itself means it gets revealed, something that's already there. But it's there at a more advanced stage. So that more advanced stage is called Raganuga Bhakti. And the stage that most of us are at right now is called Vaidhi Bhakti. But both of these types of bhakti are practice. You understand? They're called sadhana bhakti. So how do we know when we're ready to actually go to the stage of Raganuga? The stage of Raganuga means what? That one begins to realize their eternal spiritual nature. But what is the sign that one begins to realize or is qualified to realize one's eternal nature? First of all, one must be in the stage of nishta. Nishta means steady, 24/7. Some of us are steady in our sadhana, but the rest of the day, all hell breaks loose. So that's partial nishta. You know, we get up early, we chant our rounds, and then after the morning program, we go to a Bollywood movie. God knows what we do. That is not nishta. So one has to, first of all, be on the platform of nishta. Then what happens in the stage of Raganuga Bhakti, the beginning stage of Raganuga Bhakti, it's not that you realize, oh, I'm a goat. That's not really what happens. You start to get attracted to serving a particular eternal resident of Vrindavan. For example, those who might be situated on the platform of parental love, they might be attracted to Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda Mai and start to meditate on them and serve them, following the footsteps, and you serve that particular individual. Because if you begin to think that I am Nanda Maharaj or Yashoda Mai, because nowadays you have to be careful about the genders, right? Then that's impersonalism. Or you're thinking, I am directly Krishna's mother. Because there's only one mother that Krishna has. Of course, Prabhupada also said in the class this morning that actually God has no mother and father. Because if he had a mother and father, he wouldn't be Aham Bija Pradapita. I'm the seed-giving father of everyone. So Krishna has no mother and no father, but for the sake of enjoyment, for the sake of giving pleasure to the devotees and pleasure to himself, of course. That's pretty important for Krishna. Then Krishna actually accepts someone as mother and father, but Nanda and Yashoda are the eternal father and mother of Krishna, and the other mothers and fathers of Krishna, they're expansions. Sometimes they're empowered expansions, but they're expansions of Nanda and Yashoda Mai. They're not, it's not that you can actually become Mother Yashoda. So therefore, the first step in Raganuga Bhakti is to serve and follow in the footsteps, the mood of a particular eternal resident of Vrindavan. Or if you're a devotee of Lord Ramchandra, you follow in the footsteps of Hanuman. So that means you go out and play with the monkeys. No, you wouldn't do that. You would actually understand the serving mood of Hanuman. Oh, just in time for the appointment. Thank you.
So sorry. I slept in the...
No, that's all right.
And I put the alarm on. I thought it was on, but it didn't change for again.
That's all right, that's all right. Where's Krish?
Krish went with Prabhu, with Kapildev. They're not here.
Oh, I miss Krish. Okay, so please take a seat. This is a famous Krishna Leela. So it means to sort of imbibe their mood of seva, service. Their mood of seva means how to give pleasure to Krishna in a certain mood. Not how to enjoy Krishna in a certain mood. Like someone thinks, I want to be a gopi because, that's real cool, I get to dress up or whatever. And I get to enjoy, conjugal relationship with Krishna. That's not really the mood, Raganuga Bhakti. It's, I want to give Krishna pleasure in this particular way. Like I want to cook for Krishna, like Yashodamai. She's cooking for Krishna. Radharani's also cooking for Krishna. You think that all Radharani does, Srimati Radharani does, is just dance. The rest. But, it's described in the past times that Srimati Radharani is coming every day to cook at Yashodamai's house. She's brought every day from Varshana. She does cooking because it's understood that anything Radharani cooks, or anyone who eats the cooking of Srimati Radharani, will always be healthy and happy. And Prabhupada would also describe that the kitchen in the temple is Radharani's kitchen. You understand? So really, if you want to follow the footsteps of Radharani, you've got to keep the kitchen clean. If your kitchen is dirty, then you're not serving Radharani. So this is all part of Raganuga Bhakti. So, people think that they're more or on a higher platform than they're actually at. But they're not. People come to Radhakund and Babaji will tell them. And I've actually had disciples like that who've gone to Radhakund. And the Babaji tells them, what? You're a gopi, and the reason you haven't realized it is because you have that Guru Maharaj who's just like, just a neophyte. And I can give you the mantra. And even when Prabhupada was present, they were tricking so many people. Even there was this type of guru that people would go to called the Kshetra Guru. And they would give a disha. Kshetra Guru means a particular holy place. They would go to a particular holy place. And they'd give like Kshetra disha. I'm Jagannath Puri Guru. I'm a Yogi Guru. So, and the Prabhupada got really upset. And even when Prabhupada was present, some of the Babajis happened to lure Prabhupada disciples away, trying to present something that was actually sense gratification in the name of Krishna consciousness. Because, it's not, like if you try to imagine yourself, I'm talking about imagine or visualize yourself, and doing something that you don't have the adhikar for, then it's just mundane. It's simply mundane. So we have to be very, very careful about that. So anyway, I'm giving a brief introduction to Raganuga Bhakti. So it's attraction to serve Krishna in a particular mood of that person. And look at what the person does. Yashodamai is not just coddling Krishna all day long. Like sometimes people, that's interesting. Okay, should I mention it? Oh, I say, sometimes people go around with Lad and Gopal all day. Which is nice, I'm not criticizing that. It's good. But they have to cook for Lad and Gopal. Clean and change his clothes. And all that, which is really nice. Or Govardhan. It's service, it's seva. Because all the rasas are based on seva. You may say, well, what about Shantaras? But if one wants to be a devotee in Shantaras, there should be some seva there too. Like the trees are primarily in Shantaras. But they also are serving Krishna, providing shade, providing the wood for the flutes and everything like that. So that their mood is primarily Shantaras, but there has to be some seva, because if they don't have the moods, a little bit of dasha there, then it's impersonalism. That's why Prabhupada sometimes describes, sometimes he said the trees in Vrindavan sometimes are impersonalists who take a birth there. So it's really important. In any of the rasas, there's a mood of intense servitude, loyal, intense hankering to serve Krishna, intense hankering to please Krishna. That's the essential ingredient for all the different rasas, for Raganuga Bhakti. Anyway, of course, Rupa Goswami says that loyum is the price, or Prabhupada called it tears, the price for pure devotional service. So it's a very important point. So then Prabhupada continues here. Persons desiring to follow in the footsteps of such eternal devotees of the Lord, as the Vrishnis and Vrindavan denizens, there's the denizens again, and Prabhupada said this is beautiful, are called Raganuga devotees, which means they are trying to attain to the perfection of those devotees. These Raganuga devotees do not follow the regulated principles of devotional service very strictly. I'm going to have to unpack that. But by spontaneous nature, they become attracted to some of the eternal residents, external devotees such as Nanda and Yashoda, and try to follow their footsteps spontaneously. So when it says they do not follow strictly, it doesn't refer to the Babajis who sometimes take intoxication. We heard that the other day. So one nice devotee here, she came and found that one of the Pandits, Babajis, he was completely wiped out. Right? You see someone with like the pupils of the eyes. The eyes completely black. I remember in the early days, before I joined the movement, we talked to people who were taking intoxication, some sort of intoxication, and the pupils would be like, oh, I can only see the pupil. So, when it talks about not following the regular principles very strictly, it said that they follow the regulated principles, but spontaneously. Prabhupada actually said that elsewhere, that one has to, one follows these regulated principles, even the stage of Raganuga Bhakti. And there's several reasons one follows. The first one is something called humility. Because the more one advances, the more one thinks one is not advanced. It's a symptom of advancement, Srinadabhisa Nichena. Like, for example, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur said if one thinks he's a guru, he's a guru. He's a cow or an ass. Because that's an upadi. Upadi means designation. Like if I think I'm a guru, I'm an ass. I understand I'm doing that service, that doesn't make me an ass, don't worry. So, you say, like Kana says, oh, Guru Dave. And I say, yes, Kana. Oh, you think you're a guru? You're an ass! You understand? I just understand this is my play act that I'm doing for Krishna at a service. So those in the Raganuga platform, they follow strictly because they don't think they're on the Raganuga platform. They think they've given the right to pursue the Raganuga platform, but they're saying, this is special mercy, I'm not really qualified. What Bhakti Vinod Thakur says, Mama Naveda Nashuna, I have no good qualities. Vishaya Durjana, I'm a Durjana. A Durjana means a bad person, right? Vishaya, I'm just attached to the objects of the senses, Vishaya Durjana. Mama Vedana Shuna. I'm Shuna. Shuna means nothing, zero, zilch, void. He said, I have no good qualities. So this is one reason. Another reason that those on a higher level of devotional service follow strictly, not because they're rules, that's the point. They don't follow because they're rules. They follow because they're humble. They follow because they're setting yad yada charity shreshtas tatat ebe karo janaha. To set a good example. That's Krishna's verse in the Bhagavad Gita where he says, those who are shreshtas, the exemplars in society, when they act in a certain way, everyone follows. Like if I was to go to the donut shop, I don't know if you have donuts here. It's probably called do nots. You know, donuts. Prabhupada said there's so many donuts in the Krishna conscious movement, which means do nots. So if I was to go to the donut shop, then probably all of you would go. Right? Go Mars, go to the donut shop. Or, you know, one time, well, there's one thing I did, but it's not bad, it's not against the regular business. One time before I understood that chocolate wasn't so good for me, then I was taking some chocolate. And, you know, basically all the devotees, we have one devotee in North Carolina, Mother Tulsi, order boxes of it. She's the type of person that, you know, anything I do, she just like, will follow, you know, just like a blind follower. I mean, sometimes you get people like that. She actually, you know, I had some old socks and she made a hat out of them. You see? So, you know, we have to, one should imitate, anusara anukara. One shouldn't imitate but follow the footsteps. So anyway, so the point is they follow because they want to set a good example. It was like Srila Prabhupada, he woke up early every morning. And Prabhupada chanted his 16 rounds. He didn't have to chant 16 rounds. He didn't have to chant any rounds because he was always absorbed in Krishna, always chanting Hare Krishna. When I was with Prabhupada and I observed, he always, you could see his mouth move sometimes. He was always chanting the holy names. I mean, there's no question that Prabhupada had to chant 16 rounds. And Prabhupada, the devotees observed Prabhupada chanting 16 rounds. You know, there's actually videos. Prabhupada finishes his rounds at night in Los Angeles, pacing up and down in his room. So that's why a pure devotee or one on a spontaneous platform will actually continue to follow strictly, but not because they're rules. Now we have to do it because we are scared. You know, I'm scared. If I don't chant my rounds, Maya's going to come and take me away. Some Maya Devi. Oh my God. What's a Maya Devi?
Is it like bad? Is it like punishment?
No. A Maya Devi is, you know Urvasi?
Sorry?
Urvasi?
No.
Yeah. You don't know Menaka? Okay, so there was Visramita Muni was just minding his business and meditating, but he wasn't chanting his rounds. He was just meditating on having a higher position, a Brahma Rishi. And Menaka, she's one of the girls from the heavenly planets. She comes and she rings her ankle bells. Ding-a-ling. He opens his eyes. Oh, the hell with the meditation. And then as a result, there was a nice little girl born, Shakuntala. There's a whole story in Bhagavatam about that. A wonderful story. So anyway, We, of course, for those of you ladies, some Maya Dave will come along. Some non-devotee, you want to marry some non-devotee man or non-devotee woman. Oh. It's actually interesting when Govardhan Mohini was supposed to get married, I had to approve. And I told David that you marry her, you're marrying me at the same time.
Yes.
So anyway, in any case, we do it out of fear and also not desiring to displease our spiritual master. We don't want to be disconnected because we understand if we stop chanting, there's a disconnection and the mind gets dull. We lose our edge and we're not happy anymore. So we have other reasons for chanting, but those on the Raganuga platform are chanting because they like to chant. You understand? It's not, I have to chant 16 rounds. Of course, it should be, I choose to chant, but those on the Raganuga platform are chanting because they love it. It's like asking someone to eat something, their favorite food. So it's interesting. So there is a gradual development of the ambition to become like a particular devotee. This activity is called Raganuga. Actually, we just have 5 more minutes. We must always remember, however, that such eagerness to follow in the footsteps of the denizens of, there's a denizen again. That's an interesting word. I should use that more often. Of Braja, Vrindavan, is not possible unless one is freed from material contamination. Wow. In following the regulated principles of devotional service, there is a stage which is called anartha nivritti, which means the disappearance of all material contamination. So, I think I have to be more specific about this anartha nivritti because there are different stages of devotional service. Ado, Shradata, Sadhu, Sandota, Vajanakriya. Then anartha nivritti comes after that. However, even though anartha nivritti comes right after bhajana kriya means the performance of devotional service, that is not complete anartha nivritti. Complete anartha nivritti, absolute anartha nivritti only occurs when one has prema, according to Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. But at least it's enough, like the Bhagavatam describes that, by regular attendance in Bhagavatam class, all inauspicious things become eradicated and almost to nil. Almost to nil. So one has to be pretty much free from anartha nivritti. Sometimes it is found that someone who is imitating such devotional love, but factually is not freed from anarthas or unwanted habits. That's interesting. Prabhupada translates anarthas, unwanted habits. It can also be unwanted desires or tendencies. It has been seen that a so-called devotee proclaims himself a follower of Nanda, Yashoda, or the gopis, while at the same time his abominable attraction for mundane sex life is visible. Such a manifestation of divine love as mere imitation has no value. Just like here in Vrindavan, you have the people called the Saki Bekis. You know what Saki Beki is? That means those are men who dress like women. Or what we call in the West, drag. Drag queens. Anyway, I went to Saibo, who was a drag queen. You don't know. But he did it to make money. He made a lot of money doing it. He was a psychiatrist, a social worker during the day and a drag queen. Nice. That's what happens in the Western preaching, you know. You get all sorts of interesting characters. Such a man has no value. When one is actually spontaneously attracted to loving principles of the gopis, there will be found no trace of any mundane contamination in his character. So in other words, even though he's not absolutely free from anarthas, absolutely free would mean there's no tendency of them coming back. Still, externally, because he's on the platform of Nishta, he's controlling his manifestation of his character and his activities, utilizing his buddhi or intelligence. And in that case, in that particular situation, then one can actually start the process of Radha-nuga bhakti. Because if you wait until you're out, because for example, let's say Bharat Maharaj, he was not absolutely free of anarthas. He was free, but not absolutely free. Free means you don't have them, but absolutely free means they don't come back. So he was not careful, and then doe a deer, female deer as the song goes. Anyway, so he became attracted to a deer, and then the contamination came back. His problem was not that he was taking care of the deer. His problem was he was trying to enjoy the deer. It was proper for him to take care of the deer. Like if you see a little baby deer, you just say, no, let him die. Then that is bad. That's cruelty, hard-heartedness. But if you take the little baby deer and start kissing him like you would, that's the problem, because you're trying to enjoy it. Because the baby deer doesn't want to be kissed by some guy. If I was a baby deer and there's this human goes, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's not service of the deer, it's not taking care of him. You know, when I was young, my brother used to do that with his pet turtle. So, can you imagine what a pet turtle would feel with like that? So, anyway, so in other words, you don't try to enjoy someone; you try to help people and bring them to Krishna consciousness, even if they're animals. So the point is that one has to be very careful, even if one is on a very high level of devotional service, and use your intelligence and be able to identify illusory activities or illusory tendencies. Okay, I thought that was a very important part of the Nectar of Devotion. So any questions or comments? Question? Question?
One question.
Yes.
How do we distinguish what is our adhikar to listen and what it isn't?
Our adhikar to do, as far as the performance of bhakti?
Listening about stories.
One has to be introspective enough to ascertain whether, while we're listening to these particular stories, it stimulates material desires. Because Prabhupada said if one hears, if not qualified, hears certain pastimes of the gopis, instead of purifying you, it can putrefy you. Prabhupada used that expression. And even that, Prabhupada was referring to certain parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, because there was a group, the context of this, there was a group in Los Angeles called the Gopi Baba Club. I was there, not part of the club. I was in Los Angeles at that time, so I witnessed the interactions. So there's a Gopi Baba Club, and these devotees were reading portions of Prabhupada's books, because there weren't any other books available at that particular time. But the portions of the Chaitanya Charitamrita, they were very intimate, and they just read those. And Prabhupada confronted them. Prabhupada was livid. He was so angry, he confronted them. And even after he chastised them, they thought that Prabhupada was just chastising us for the sake of pacifying these agitated sannyasis who were complaining. It's interesting, isn't it? So, and that's where in that particular context, Prabhupada said, they'll get putrefied instead. Putrefied means rot. Like if you take some meat, you shouldn't have meat. But if there's an animal outside who dies, let's say a monkey outside dies, and the body's lying there, the body starts to rot and smell, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm. Even sometimes I've been visiting people in the hospital who have part of their body is, what is that technical word used? Anyway, it's dying. There's a
Atrophy.
what?
Atrophy.
No, it's not atrophy. There's a atrophy means you don't use a muscle or something like that. But it's, there's a word where something is actually dying, and they actually smell. I bet you it's one of my disciples dying right now, and he might have passed away. Narahari, remember Narahari? Narahari, and I couldn't stand the smell. That's putrefaction. And that's what happens when someone tries, they start to smell spiritual. They become putrefied. So the idea is you have to be introspective to understand, like when I read this, is it evoking a mood of service and appreciation, or is it stimulating some desires? Like sometimes you read about these romantic things between Radha and Krishna, and you think, anyway, you look at your husband, and you think, he's my Krishna. He's the same color as Krishna. I know you don't do that. I just tease him. He's like, we've had people come to the temple in India, sometimes you say, and the lady says, he's my Krishna, I'm his Radha. It happens sometimes. So sometimes you read things and it stimulates, and even it may stimulate you in a more grosser fashion. I'm talking about gross desires, like that. I mean, sometimes you may read about Krishna eating ladus and you want to eat a ladu. It's a practical example, isn't it?
Yeah.
You say, oh, Krishna was eating ladus, and you start to salivate. So maybe you shouldn't read about Krishna eating ladus. It's too dangerous. You're not even on the, don't even have the adhikar to read about Krishna eating. No, I'm just joking about that. But so really you have to be introspective and see, how does this affect me? Does it make me want to serve more? Like Prabhupada said, okay, also in regard to this whole thing happened in Los Angeles, Prabhupada said it will stop the preaching. Because then, does it help me become more compassionate? I mean, sometimes when I read about Krishna's pastimes, I just look at people and I think, I want them to understand it. So that's a good sign. Why don't they hear why can't I share this? Why can't they understand this? So that actually is a good sign that comes from, because a sign of spiritual enlightenment is compassion. If you don't become more compassionate by hearing Krishna Katha, that means you may become more passionate instead of compassionate. That means try to enjoy yourself. So you have to, it really requires a lot of introspection to understand one's adhikar. And that's an individual thing. Reading about the love of Radha and Krishna, and then one becomes stimulated. Where's my Radha? Yes, so I think that would be the answer to that. To understand one's adhikar, even on the Vaidhi platform. There's certain things, that's why Srila Bhakti, there's the story of Srila Bhakti about the Saraswati Thakur. He wanted to publish these books. I think it was the Govinda Lilamrita or something like that. It was the Govinda Lilamrita, which is a book by Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, who's the author of the Chaitanya Charitamrita. And he went to his father, Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur, and he said, do I have permission to publish this book? And Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur said no. And so, but Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur was persistent. And he went back, and finally Srila Bhakti Vinod Thakur said, you can publish, but you can only print one copy for yourself. So, one has to be very, very, very careful. And then, you can consult with the spiritual master. There's all sorts of ways. But the main thing is, so one has to be very careful in approaching Krishna Katha because there's so many pitfalls. I mean, I've seen many devotees be attracted by the Babajis.
It's so common. I actually didn't know it's so common.
It's very common. Oh yeah, very, very common.
I mean, also in Mayapur, not just here.
I know many devotees who have groups on the internet where they discuss the intimate pastimes of Radha and Krishna, and they say, I am a follower of Chandravali. I'm a follower. You don't discuss these things publicly. Guru Maharaj is a gopi. I realize he's a gopi. It's actually interesting that when one actually reaches this stage, the guru, his or her Guru Maharaj, will actually appear to be in a particular rasa according to one's rasa. That's brought out in the Jivadharma by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. So that's interesting point. Anyway, there's a lot happening, especially here in Vrindavan. You know that, isn't it? You can ask Kumari. She's seen a lot of things happen in Vrindavan. I mean, I've seen men wearing lipstick.
You see that in America too. So.
Yeah, but they don't think they're gopis. But these men who wear lipstick in Vrindavan don't even shave, so that's the problem. Isn't it? I mean, I've seen them in front of the temple in Vrindavan. It's like, with 2 days growth of beard or something like that. It's like, oh my God, lady, why don't you get rid of your mustache? So, yeah, you have a question?
I have a question, Srila Gurudev. I've had it for a while, so I've heard and read many times that not a blade of grass moves without the will of the supreme personality of Godhead.
Mm-hmm.
But what about gross body things like surgery? Is it our past karma and Krishna lessens our situation to make it bearable? Do those things happen so that we end up closer to him at the end? Or
Yeah. So what Krishna does, Prabhupada calls it a token reaction. He reduces things and applies our past karma in such a way that it's helpful for our devotional service. And another example Prabhupada gave about past karma is that when you first take up Krishna consciousness, it's like a fan that's been unplugged. You probably heard that before. that has some momentum and it takes time to slow down. Like, I experienced that the first 2 days I joined the movement. I lost my sports car. The only attachment I had in this world, basically, it was an MG midget sports car with a racing car shift on it. I remember it today. I was just like, every time I think of it, I just come in ecstasy. So the first day, our first 2 days, I lent it to a devotee. To lend is to lose. Yeah, to lend either money or to lend anything you have in your computer. Forget it, you've lost it. So, but it was my token reaction. I had a lot of token reactions. I said, oh my God, what can I do now? So now they've sort of slowed down. I don't have too many, just a few disciples left. So they take care of my token reactions. Anyway, so just joking. So the thing is, but it's administered by Krishna in such a way that it will help you if you see Krishna in that particular action. Yomam pashyati sarvatra sarvamajamani pashyati. You know, once you see Krishna in everything and everywhere. So, yeah, it's administered by Krishna. Even things that are, you know, really bad. Not bad, nothing's bad for a devotee, but really painful.
Yeah.
And I always use the example of my kidney stones that I had about 2 years ago. It's painful, but I really liked it. Maybe not at the time. But anyway, now I'm appreciative that Krishna sent it. Because I was chanting, and he taught me about the nature of this world. And so, you know, even old age, you know, you look at yourself, not you, but one day you look at yourself in the mirror and say, oh my God, what happened? I used to be Kumari. Now I'm Jara. It's Rami's old age. Rami's young girl. What Jarari? Jarari means, I'm just making that word up, I'm sure there's no such word, but Jarari means an old person. So you just appreciate it. After a while you start to appreciate whatever Krishna does for you or to you. But it's you're in Krishna's hands, you know, Krishna takes care of his devotee. I see that every day, that whatever Krishna does, even though I don't like it sometimes, it's actually for love, doing the best thing for me. Okay, any other questions before we take Prashant? Questions, comments?
Can I ask one more then?
Yeah, one more.
So, for example, like, I mean, it's not that I read, but like sometimes I see how the Swamis are writing, like these high things, or like often it's like that everyone should like reside in, you know, in Vrindavan and things like that. So I'm just wondering, what do they mean by that, or like to whom were they writing these books? Like, what would they say to us actually?
Well, the mood of Vrindavan. That's the point. I mean, what does it mean to reside in Vrindavan? You can't reside here unless you have the right mood. I mean, you are where your consciousness is at. You can put your body physically in Vrindavan, but you're not actually in Vrindavan. And you can have your body, like Prabhupada never left Vrindavan. Prabhupada always resided in Vrindavan. You know, many of the residents of Vrindavan were just actually almost critical of Prabhupada for leaving. How can you leave Vrindavan at your old age? You should just wait around to die. You know, the whole consciousness is, no, wherever you die, if you're Krishna conscious, then you go back to Godhead. Like, I gave the example the other day about Bhakti Maharaj. He could have gone to Vrindavan, he chose to pass away in Gita Nagari. But he was never separated from Vrindavan. Because he's connected to Prabhupada. If you're connected to Prabhupada, you're always in Vrindavan. Yeah, of course, it's wonderful to visit Vrindavan. But if one is simply thinking, you know, I want to go back to Godhead, so I have to make sure I'm here, you know, I could die at any minute. Padam, yadvi, padam, natesham. There's danger at every step. So who knows? You know, who knows? A rickshaw may hit me. Well, it's more likely to hit you in Vrindavan. Isn't it?
It's very common, that thought.
Very common, isn't it? No. Preaching. That's the point. You understand? Krishna. If you preach and you help people, you'll never be outside of Vrindavan. I mean, the demons were also here too, you know. But they didn't have the right Vrindavan mood. Aristasura, Palambasura, Agasura, Putana made it. Somehow or other she got Krishna's mercy. Because of her past life. But, okay. I think we should end now. Because this prasadam from Guru Maharaj. Oh, sorry. You have to go back tonight, or how are you getting back?
My scooter.
In the dark?
It will be okay.
You're right in the dark.
We'll be alright. We should leave.
Yeah. Yeah, just be careful. I guess the fog is pretty much lifted
It was full until like midday.
to midday, so it's not so dangerous like in the morning. Okay, all glories to Srila Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Actually, let the people online see everyone. Hold on a second. I want... Just everyone stay for a second, please. Okay. I'm so happy that Zoom works. Krishna fulfills the desires of the living entities since time immemorial. Okay.
May I send you the signal through PayPal?
PayPal?
Yes. Is it okay?
Yeah, PayPal.
Because I can't pick up.
You know my PayPal again?
Yes, I sent.
Sent before, okay.
Yes.